Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Charity Charge Show. This is Grayson Harris, and today we are pleased to be joined by Deborah Wondercheck. She is both the founder and CEO of the Arts and Learning Conservatory, and they are doing incredible work out there in Southern California. And they really believe in the transformative power of the arts for youth and marginalized communities. Deborah, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Grayson, for having me as a guest. I'm excited about this.
Of course. Well, your mission really and your entire journey to where you are today really stood out. And I'm really excited to kind of share that with our community today. Tell me a little bit more about the work and mission of the Arts and Learning Conservatory.
So, the Arts and Learning Conservatory is an organization that is about children, making sure that they are set up for success in life. And what we do is we provide performing arts classes to children ages 4 to 18 on school campuses all throughout Southern California, as well as at our conservatory location, which is in Costa Mesa, where we have main stage, large scale productions and acting, singing, dancing, and instrumental classes that take place as well.
That's incredible. And production season is coming up soon, right? Y'all have some performances right around the corner.
Yeah, we're doing Wizard of Oz at several locations. We've got Annie, Matilda. I mean, there's 6 productions happening within
Classics.
3 weeks. Yeah, classics. So, we're staying very busy with the kids.
Well, that's incredible. And can you tell me a little bit more? Because you're also the founder of the ALC. Tell me a little bit more about if we take it back to those days. What was really the heart of what got you started with this?
Okay, so, again, with Arts and Learning Conservatory, we are all about making sure the arts are accessible to all children, and that has to go with my background, and like you said, why I started this arts and learning to me isn't just organization to just do. It's something that I've lived. So I'm the youngest of 7 kids in my family. We're all string players. And we were introduced to the strings through my mom, who is a huge arts advocate. She, when she was a child, was flat out denied the opportunity to play a stringed instrument. And that was at the age of 10. That's like around 1945. And she was in a neighborhood that was not necessarily segregated, but it was in like a suburb of Chicago. But it was a neighborhood where her family was the only Black family in this white, it was predominantly white neighborhood, but very affluent. So when she wanted to go play an instrument in their school, they just flat out denied her that opportunity. What she did with that hugely huge disappointment is she turned it around and said, "Well, when I'm married and I have kids, they're all gonna play a musical instrument. They're all gonna be involved in the arts." And she meant it. So, got married, had 7 of us. We were introduced to different stringed instruments. What ended up happening is she used that energy that, again, the negativity, turned it into something super positive, made sure we had access, and also with having a strong faith-based background as well, we played in different churches, community centers, senior homes. She saw it as more of an altruistic, wonderful way to bring light to other people. It was not a selfish thing at all. It was always about giving back. And so we were a light in our community with what my mom had created for us. And it was beautiful. So from that, we were also involved with private string lessons. One of my brother's music teachers who had played in the Chicago Symphony told my mom, if your kids get good at this, they should be able to get scholarships to go to college. So my sweet, God fearing mom turned into a drill instructor. We began practicing harder and harder. And 5 of the 7 of us went to 4-year universities across the nation with scholarships with our instruments. So it really changed the trajectory of our family's lives. We were able to travel like all over the world from the different universities we were in, and it just gave a different perspective literally on life. So with all of that, positive, wonderful things happening, the other flip side in my family was there was domestic violence going on, and my mom had decided, well, I have all these kids, can't take them out of here, can't take 7 kids and try to leave. And if I came back, it could be 4 times worse, even up
Mm,
to I don't even know if I'll even have my life coming back because it was that bad. So when this whole college scholarship was coming up and she was seeing the first one get it, second one, she's like, "Okay, all y'all are gonna get a scholarship." But at third time the third one got his, she was thinking, "I can get 4 kids out of this situation and never return." And that's what we did. So, literally in one night, I had a cello on my back, suitcase in my hand with my other siblings. We escaped from our home from Chicago to Denver, Colorado. We lived in a women's shelter there for a few months. We're getting acclimated. My dad figured out where we were, but didn't catch us, but figured out where we were. We escaped from there, moved to San Diego, lived in the Salvation Army there, and
Mm,
then we moved to another women's shelter in Oceanside. So we were it was scary. We were running from
yeah.
place to place, and as a 10-year-old, I was afraid of everybody. I'm always looking over my back, thinking my dad's coming. We don't know if we're gonna survive. I had a lot of anxiety. I wouldn't have known what to call it back then, but today it was major anxiety that I had and just a fear of what was gonna happen next.
Mm,
But what ended up happening is that that last shelter that we lived in, across the street from the shelter was a performing arts magnet school. And at that school, I found my voice and I was so loved and accepted by the kids. They thought I was amazing and playing my cello, playing like Michael Jackson's Beat It and Billie Jean, and they just thought I was amazing. The teachers just really loved on me, and it literally brought me back to life. So, with that experience, I, as an adult, created Arts and Learning Conservatory to be an accessible art form right where kids are in schools. Maybe they have no finances. Parents are working 2 and 3 different jobs. They see the arts as a luxury and not as something that can help their children. Arts and Learning Conservatory is the solution and answer to that in schools across Southern Cal. And so that's why I created it. I want to make sure other kids have an opportunity to get involved, but it could literally change the trajectory of their lives if they stick with it and get a scholarship or even stick with it and get a job in an arts opportunity of technology, maybe it's
mm.
technical theater, whatever. It's all about creating opportunity for children and bringing it right where they're at. So that's why the Arts and Learning Conservatory exists.
What a great story. It's incredible that you've been able to replicate that community that you found and that kind of final home, that obviously was just so incredible to you and really gave you a sense of belonging, right?
Mhm.
It really sounds like it was instrumental in partnership with these schools to kinda get the idea off the ground. If you, take me back to, the kind of, the onset of, the Arts and Learning Conservatory, what did that initially look like in terms of was it a summer camp? Was it kind of school programming? What did that look like?
So it started off as a summer camp. I had already been teaching in a public school system for 10 years. I was master teacher, I was orchestra conductor because my main instrument's cello. And I was doing all the things, but I, again, felt that tug that when I kept seeing music programs be cut left and right,
Mm,
I'm like, I gotta do something. So I started with a summer camp, and that camp had 21 kids in it. We did a musical excerpt of Sound of Music at a live string orchestra. Well, it's like 13 kids in my string ensemble, kids on stage acting. And we had so few kids acting that some of my string players had to double as nuns. So my cellist is playing, she's wearing all black, then I'm like, get up on stage, be the nun, come on back. Now you go up there, be a townsperson. It was hilarious. But 21 kids that first camp, next camp, summer camp, we had 145 kids that came out.
wow.
And then from there, again, more and more music programs were being cut. We had schools reach out. A school reached out and said, "Can you just come and do a musical at our school? We don't have any arts now." It got removed. And so we did
Mm,
that. And then it expanded to 3 schools and 5 schools. Then I had the county contact me, Orange County School District, and asked, "Hey, can you go to this district?" And it grew to then 10 schools, 15. So today we're in about 50 elementary schools and middle schools with band, orchestra, musical theater, we do African drumming, Latin percussion, and we even do K-pop dance now. So we're
that's
that's
incredible,
how it
outstanding.
yeah. I would say it evolved rather organically, and we grew with the amount of schools that needed it, the services. Now we have a wait list of individuals that would love to have our programs in their location. So we feel very fortunate and so excited because since
Yeah,
2004 is when I founded it. Since 2004, we've brought the arts to over 30, I believe we counted it at 35,000 students at this point that have been never
that is
been exposed to
incredible.
the arts, and we had a part in that, and that just I just that's what this is all about, is changing the lives of children, so
100%. And you were looking around. We talk about on the show all the time that nonprofits fill gaps. That businesses aren't, that the government isn't, that society, it needs to be filled, and that's really what the role of nonprofits are. And you were looking around, you were seeing, you know, art programs getting cut left and right, and
mm.
it just, as you said, it led to this kind of organic growth. It really sounds like that's amazing. And whenever you look at what that program looks like, is it you're putting staff that the Arts and Learning Conservatory is paying for within these schools to run these programs? How is it structured now?
So the way it's structured now is we do have an admin team. We have about 5 people on our admin team that are overseeing the programs, and we have about 60 instructors that go into the schools. Now, we used to have volunteers and some college students that would come through, but we wanted more consistency. So we
Hmm.
pay the 60 instructors, the teaching artists that come in, and they're degreed. And if we do have some students that are coming fresh out of college, we train them first. There's more like an apprenticeship,
Yeah.
mentorship, and then we have them involved in what we're doing because the mission and the vision of this organization is key for everyone to understand. It's about accessibility for the children, and at the same time, it's about pulling out the best in them and finding that bright light and making these children understand that they have a gift. So we have to train people to understand that. So today we pay all of our staff. We also have, like I said, college students that come through. We also have an apprenticeship with the Orange County Department of Education. So we are now paying even high school students to be trained as interns or apprentices under our high quality staff that we do have.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting, and we also have volunteers that are being trained as well. We've got several local universities that are sending staff students to us, again, to get trained and more like an internship, but they're volunteering their time. So the structure is much more solid now, and we are getting
Yeah.
wonderful results. Mhm.
That's incredible. And as it grew, you obviously had the opportunity to open a physical location, the conservatory.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about just how important and meaningful that moment was for you? I know on your website there's that video of you cutting the ribbon, and you could
Yes.
just see how much joy there is in that moment. Can you bring me back to what that was like?
So that video on our website of the cutting of the ribbon is a facility that I actually was it was gifted to my organization about 10 years ago, and we remodeled it. But it was amazing to have community members see the work that we were doing because each year now we're impacting about 3,700 students annually. And we didn't have a facility. We would go from building to building, or we were leasing, couldn't afford to do that, and on top of being in all the schools. I mean, at one point, Grayson, we actually, if I take it way back, we started out of my garage, and that's where we
Yeah.
stored all the costumes and the sets, and my husband was so mad, but that's where everything was, and then we were able to get out of that, but we were leasing everywhere. So, finally, a wonderful, amazing couple said, "You need a building. You are doing a great work. You're doing great work. These kids need a building to have classes, so you're not traveling everywhere." So they gifted me the building, and like I said, 3 years ago at this point, we remodeled that facility and put a
Right.
200-seat theater inside of our facility. So now we don't have to rent theater space. We can do all the productions where we're at. And with being a nonprofit, we see this as a social enterprise where we can rent out the facility and the
I was
funding
going to
coming.
ask. What has
Yeah.
been the impact within the local community of having, that 200 seat theater? Has it really made the arts flourish around the organization outside of even the productions that y'all are putting?
Well, because it's so new, we started the build 3 years ago. We only opened it just within this last year. So
Okay.
we now have people signing up and wanting to rent it. So, yeah, it's we see this as being a really solid social enterprise of funding our classes and even our
Mm,
operations, even when craziness happens with the government and
yeah.
grants are slowing down. We see this as a way to keep going and keep the legacy building so that the community knows this is here and it's here to stay.
That's incredible. Well, you mentioned, back to the days when you were kind of having everything in the garage, right? What would be
Mhm,
your advice for, a nonprofit leader that is, listening in and they are in that moment, where they're operating out of their house completely volunteer led in terms of that allowed you to kind of grow and expand and, now you're impacting almost 4,000 students annually.
mhm.
What would you give as a piece of advice to take that first step?
My advice is link up with other nonprofits that are doing something similar to what you're doing and even get a mentor. I didn't quite have a mentor at the very beginning. It was a lot of prayer, like, please, we need money, things of that sort. But having a mentor, I do that now. I've had one now for about 10, 15 years. Having a mentor helps clear your head, gets you more
Mm,
focused, and it helps you sooner get to your end goal of where you wanna be, and it just gives you more advice. So, here in Orange County, there's a program called Executive Coaches, ECOC, Executive Coaches of Orange County, and for free, they will give you a mentor. These are people who are retired that have owned
mm,
companies or high ups in those places, and they will walk you through the process. Not just, we all have a huge heart to serve, but there's the legalities. You've got HR issues that you need to deal with.
yeah.
You've got legal things that you need to be on top of, even processing your nonprofit status. All of that is an annual thing that you've got to be established from the get go. So, my biggest advice is get an advisor and connect yourself with other individuals. Do not be a silo. Become friends with people doing something similar and partner with them, and you're going to go further a lot faster, and that's what happened to me. Once I did all of that, oh, it just took off. So, yeah, that's my advice.
That's great advice. Well, you mentioned that you have a wait list of, schools and people wanting to get the programs within their community. What does the future look like? The remodeling just was recently completed. What has got you excited as we look into the future?
We really want to expand into different cities, different counties, and we have the opportunity to do that. We want to be more in South Orange County, definitely into San Diego. Right now, we're in Orange County, LA, and Inland Empire. Our goal is to just keep moving throughout the state. And again, it's not about let's go and just make money off it. You don't make a lot of money doing this at all. I really am about what I said, my lived experience. There are so many more kids who need
Yeah,
these services. And it's not just a little frill, it's a necessity. So
yeah.
our heart is to go to as many locations as possible that we can serve with our same high quality, but make sure kids have this arts exposure. So sky's the limit. We're gearing up, and like I said, we have the 60 staff, 60 teaching artists, but we wanna expand our admin team so that we can hold this in a way that it's with high quality and, keep expanding, so, yeah.
That's incredible. And how can our audience listening in get involved?
Okay, you can get involved in several ways. We have a website. It's arts, ARTS, the word and learning.org. Go on the site, get in it. Even I think there's a section that says get involved. You could volunteer with us. We definitely need more donations or sponsors. We have a huge concert coming up on June 27th that will be taking place at the Barclay Theater in Irvine, and we need sponsors for that. It's a benefit concert. It's called Gospel Voices of Orange County, and with that concert, we're gonna be celebrating African American artistry in that month of Juneteenth. It's also
Yeah.
Black Music Month, American Music Month, and, you'll hear a whole story, 2-hour-long production of Black music in our country and the imprint that we have and the history that's all surrounding that. Support that. That would be huge. If you have children, absolutely send them to our conservatory. We've got classes happening. We're doing, Camp Wicked, Zootopia. We're even doing, the K-pop Hunters, the musical. I
Yeah,
mean, we've got things for children ages 4 all the way up. So if you wanna get involved that way, and of course, if you want to volunteer, we love volunteers. If you wanna volunteer in our costume shop, the theater, if you wanna volunteer even going to a school, like I said, we're in a close to 50 schools right now. We could totally use volunteers to just assist with either with the actual creativity process or just, "Hey, let me sit with Johnny in the hallways having a hard time." Anything like that, we
yeah.
are so open and so welcoming to the help and the assistance from our community, so join us, please.
That's incredible. Deborah, well, I really appreciate you coming on the show today, sharing that, incredible journey that, your family went through to get all the way out eventually to California. And, really the mission and impact that the Arts and Learning Conservatory is now making on kids every single year. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity, and I hope everyone listening gets involved. If it's not with us, get involved somewhere. It will change your life. So thank you so much, Grayson.